to be an artist is to believe to be an artist. Like, you have to believe that you're an artist. Sometimes it's just not giving up, even if you are bad, if you're doing a crappy job, if you are just even barely making it. Our art is all mostly an extension of who we are. And the more comfortable that you become with yourself, the more loving of who you are, the more you embrace your own identity, uh, the stronger you feel associated with your art. I'm ready to surrender, and I'm going to put all my faith in my creativity, and I am going to be an artist, and I'm going to put my identity into it. And yes, I'm going to put that faith in me. If I, as an artist myself, wouldn't love myself, if I don't give that warmth to myself, to my soul, and if I don't fully love and accept of who I am, I wouldn't really be able to put myself and 100% of who I am in my work, in my art, in my creativity. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. This is your host, Charuka. And I'm very excited to be on the podcast today to share my thoughts and some things that I've been recently thinking about. If you are a regular listener, thank you so much for joining me today by myself in this episode where I'm going to share 6 questions I would ask myself if I was starting as an artist today. And you know why I've been thinking about this a lot? You know sometimes I've been looking at a lot of other artists. I've been looking at younger artists today and how differently they are doing things, and how their work is evolving and how they are taking this career path. And I keep asking myself that, is there something I would do differently today, or if there's something I would have done if I had to redo. But before I go into that, I really wanted to say a big thank you to all of you who've supported us with the Studio Visit book, the new Call for Art, and our magazine with Rachel. Working with Rachel has been such an amazing, amazing experience. Launching the magazine issue 3 with Rachel Burke. I make Instagram. I make Instagram. I don't know how we call that, but Rachel has been such a dream. Her work, I think it's the happiest issue we've just made so far. And I think that was the idea, the bright and bold issue. For the summer, we wanted to produce a magazine issue that would really bring smile on your faces, would look like a happy addition to your desk, your coffee table, your morning bedside, all that glam. But I'm very excited because this issue has been one of my personal favorite, and we have some amazing, amazing additions within it. From having interviews with Alicia and Kat as our creative gurus, to having some exciting interviews with artists from all parts of the world, and our curated section, which is essentially one of the most exciting, where we pick new batch of artists every edition. And what's even more exciting, that now we're working on our autumn edition, which is the Call for Art, which is going to be ending very, very soon. So if you are interested in being a part of the autumn edition, for which um, the theme is sanctuary. And I really wanted to talk about this theme because, when I was thinking about the theme that we would want to keep for an autumn um, edition, I really was thinking about what would go, what does autumn make me feel like, what is that we can do, how can artists respond to this edition. And I think, for me, I look at autumn as a season of to going inwards. I think a lot of that season starts with going inwards, from finding comfort. I think summers is a lot about going out, going in the wild, and just taking the sun. And I love fall, but I think what's even more exciting, the period before that, where we're all in this transition mode, where we're actually enjoying. Where we're actually enjoying the outdoors, but also are retreating in our own sanctuaries, in our own homes, in our own comforts. And that is very exciting. I think with the idea of sanctuary as a theme, we were not only looking for sanctuary in the sense of course, in the literal word of the, I think about the animal kingdom, and I think about, I don't know, I think about homes, and I think about my dogs, and I think about anything that helps you go inwards. I think that is very that is what I think this autumn issue would be to me, and what I how I translate this theme. So I think I'm very, very excited to look at the submissions. And Dina, who is our guest curator for this edition, I think she really fits in well with her own work, with her own ideologies. I think with every edition, we always try to bring, the heart of the curator and the theme of the magazine together, so it even fits even better. We're very excited to release the cover artist for this, but this wouldn't happen until we actually come through the magazine, prepare the edition, and we'll announce that just in time. So if you're interested, make sure that you visit www.arts2artsproject.com, and right on the website you'll see call for art, and there's a submit button. You can open this in the mobile and on desktop, anywhere that you like. I will also link this in the show notes, but also the description of this episode. Wherever you're listening, you'll just find it here. Okay, now I want to come back. In this episode, I really wanted to talk about what would I do differently, and what would I ask myself if I were to start as an artist today, and this point in time. When I started my career, I really had no idea, absolutely no idea what being an artist meant. I had been working before I actually decided to be an artist. I didn't come from an art school. I had studied in a design school, and I was finding my way as a designer. And I had been working here and there quite a few years in the startup, in design, in quite a few fields here and there. But I just felt I wasn't in the right place. I really felt this in the core of my heart. And I know this now because every time, even when there is a low season, even where things don't seem to work fine today, I know it in my heart that I'm in the right place. And I think this is a question that has really, this has made me really feel comfortable, because in I think close to 10 years now, probably over, of me working, I think I have felt the most connected at this point. And I have done quite a few things in my career, tried my hands at a lot of things, and I hope that I keep doing that. I think that has been one of the most incredible learning curves for me, because the amount of skills I've gained, the amount of exposure, the relationships, and the learnings that I've had, you know, dipping my hands into these new things has been amazing. And I think it's exciting, and sometimes it does get confusing, but also you understand within your own self, when you speak to yourself and you hear yourself, okay, this fits in, I feel I belong here, I feel, even if I'm not just the right perfect, and I think we're never the perfect piece, but we alter ourselves and figure out a situation where we feel like, okay, now this fits well. While I was working as a designer, I was always very confused. I didn't know. Of course, I was lacking a community even then, but I think there was this feeling of wanting more, or feeling of disappointment also, because I think sometimes you think that being in a certain space or being in a certain way in a profession would feel differently, and when you actually go there and you realize, oh my god, this isn't that. And I think that is exactly what I felt like I was trying my best, but I knew that my best wasn't coming out, and I think it's an important part. So looking back at all these years, I thought I'll do a session. I'll talk to you about what would I ask myself, the questions I would ask myself if I were to, be an artist today. The first question I think I would ask myself, and this is a really important one, because I feel as an artist, it takes, and not only artists, but any, I think, creative path where everything is very unknown. It's no right formula, and it's not like, okay, if I like something, everybody may like something. It's not mathematics. There's no right and there's no wrong. I think you have to put a lot of faith in yourself. So my first question to myself would be, am I willing to put an unwavering faith in my own self, in my own creativity? Am I so uh, ready for doing this that I would trust myself? I would put all my trust in my creativity and believe that, yes, I can do this. Because I think to be an artist is to believe to be an artist. Like, you have to believe that you're an artist. There is no degree that's going to give you off, right? Um, you can come from an art school and not feel like an artist, and you cannot absolutely have not a degree and be an artist. I think there's no one way. I think what makes us artists is the moment we start believing in ourselves. And personally, I feel like, if I were to ask myself, I would really ask, if am I ready to believe and to act and live like an artist and not wait for that moment? Because I personally feel that there's so much of imposter. There's so many, days and ideas we waste because we feel like, oh, I'm not an artist. And I think this is a question that has come up with so many young artists today. And I know I've had that. And I know so many people in our own community who have had this while they were growing their careers. And I think if we deal this with the beginning of, wherever we are, and surrender, like, am I ready to surrender? Yes, I'm ready to surrender, and I'm going to put all my faith in my creativity, and I am going to be an artist, and I'm going to put my identity into it, and yes, I'm going to put that faith in me. So if you are at any state and you feel like, you want to take your identity as an artist, and I'm challenging you, if you want to be an artist, are you ready to put your unending faith, unwavering faith in yourself, in your creativity, and take this identity? Are you ready to call yourself an artist? Even if whatever kind of art you make, you may make the best art and still not be okay with it. And maybe just in the beginning of your career and beginning of your skill, and still feel like an artist. I think there's no right way, right stage, or a right strata of being an artist. We're all artists in our own stages, and we just have to believe that. Okay, now let's come to the second question. Now, this is an interesting one, and it particularly may not be specific to artists, but I do feel like as artists, as creative people, this happens to us a lot more. My question would be, am I ready to fall a million times and get back and pull myself again together? Am I ready to pull those pieces of mine that have been, scattered away, and get up again and again and again? Because I feel like the creative journey a lot of time feels like that. There's so many days, even today, I feel like, oh, I have lost my way. I have lost my space and my identity. And a lot of that happens because there's so much that is happening in my life. If I'm not being able to take actions as I would want, and a lot of times I feel like, we fail and we make mistakes and we learn. And this really happens a lot in in our state in our careers when we're trying to grow. Being an artist does not come with a rule book, and we all make our own rule books, and we all make our own mistakes, and then we all make our own answers, and it takes a lot of hit and try. There's no one formula that fits us all. So that means in that process you will fall. That means in that process you will feel like you are lost, and you will have to, anytime that you feel, oh, now that you found yourself, there will be another day where you will feel like, oh my god, I think I'm lost again, or now I don't know, I feel like I can't get up. And that is when you have to pick yourself up. And I really cannot even count on my fingers now. I mean, I can, even when I look back today, I feel like there's so many days that so many places I can look back at, and I'm like, oh my god, I felt miserable, I felt so hard. And I'm so proud of myself because I pulled myself together at that point to brought me here. You know, um, Sometimes it's just not giving up. Even if you are bad, if you're doing a crappy job, if you are just even barely making it, but even if you're getting up and showing up and thinking about it, and just with every fall, you think about how can you get back together. And I think it's a very important part of our practice. Creative practice, it's a skill that I think artists really need. So if you want to be an artist, and if I were to ask myself, when if I were to do this today, I would really ask myself, if I would I sign up to pull myself back again a million times, again and again and again. And I think, yes, I really would do that because I really, really enjoy this idea. I'm not afraid of falling, even though it hurts, even though it's hard, even though it pains. But I think my curiosity leads over my fear, and I would do that in a heartbeat. Here's my third question for you, for myself, if I were to do this today. Am I eager or willing to go beyond the surface? A question that I really ask a lot of people. And I feel I'm so grateful for being an artist. I think as artists, we're deep thinkers. We really look beyond the surface. We're always, thinking more than what we are seeing. And we're really analyzing and adding meaning to things and looking for meanings and looking for purpose. And I think if you're someone who enjoys that, then yes, I mean, oh my God, you're on a wonderful ride. But honestly, it's not always easy because when you're looking for answers and when you're looking for thoughts and when you're digging beyond the surface, I think it's not always a usual task. Like, if you see yourself in context to other people, you'll often see that artists are usually deep thinkers. We feel better. I mean, we just feel differently. We feel much deeper. Our emotions are very um, intense, and I think that is why we express them um, in a form of a creativity. So I would really ask myself that, am I willing to feel those emotions, those more strongly? Am I willing to embrace that side of me? And I feel like with before being an artist, I really was ashamed of that. I feel like I was really um I knew I was like that. I was always someone who would feel things very deeply. I would really feel things I was sensitive, and I was not using that sensitivity, I feel like, to my strengths. The moment I started the day the day I decided to be an artist, and I decided that I'm going to use my creativity, and I'm really proud of it, and I surrendered and I accepted, and I was like, yes, this is it. I started to really embrace that part of me, and I started to use that in favor of my own work. And it really gave me an edge. It really gave me a ground, a really intense ground, that made me feel comfortable with who I am. Um, it it opened up another world, and I would really became comfortable with being that sensitive, with feeling those emotions very deeply. And I just started to dive into them in my creative aspect. And I think, as creators, we um it's a strength. And I think if you are willing to push yourself and challenge yourself, to go deeper in the art you're making, in the content you're writing, in the book you're writing, anything that you're doing, in the painting that you're making, um I don't know. I think it's a magical. It's magical, and that's where the magic happens. So yeah, I would really ask myself if I'm ready to make that magic happen for myself. If I'm ready to go beyond the surface. The fourth point that I would actually ask myself is one of the most important points. A lot of artists, we all, no matter what stage of life, what career stage we are on, a lot of us experience that, and it goes beyond being artists. I think in general, creative people, we all really struggle with this, which is, am I ready to let go of judgment of my own work and others? Um, a lot of artists feel captured, I would say. We feel boxed. We feel like we have to fulfill others' expectation of who we are than our own. People's judgment really define our careers, a lot of times, where we feel like we have to make a certain thing. We feel afraid to be ourselves. There are a lot of barriers come in when we're thinking about, okay, who I am and who I want to be. I think um, when people's judgment truly starts mattering us, we start putting away the paths that we feel may not be appreciated by other people. That truly takes away the power of our own uniqueness. I think as artists, our own unique voice, our ideas, even if they if they are not if they may not please everyone, and it's not your job to please everyone. So everyone will have ideas about how good or bad your art is, how good or bad your thoughts, your work, anything it could be. But it's not your work. It's not your work to worry about it. It's not your work to account it. Your work is to keep doing what you believe in. So I think it is an essential, truly an essential task for us as artists to know that if we want to keep going, if we want to do this, we have to liberate ourselves from others' judgment and judgment of our own self. Only then we'll be able to unlock, like this person within us, these emotions, and this unhinged part of us, which truly will um, put out what we feel into our work and truly embrace that side. So, yeah, that would be my fourth question if I were to ask myself. Okay, here's my fifth question. I would really ask myself, do I want to write my own story? Am I willing to take charge and write my own story? Because as artists, I feel like we have this unique way of painting our own, like the way we paint our canvases, write our books, make our art. We really are also crafting our own lives. We're um, painting our own canvases, our real life canvases, and it's a beautiful but also huge, overwhelming process, I feel like. And when you take on this task of being an artist, are you ready to think of your life beyond the canvas? Are you ready to create a life that truly immerses yourself in the story that you want to be? And I think I really didn't understand this for quite a while. And I started to understand this later when I think I really found my voice as an artist. I felt like, okay, this is what I really feel like. And I feel in the sense of finding my voice, I think it's an ever evolving process, but you find that cue and then you always keep following that. And the day I feel like I got hold of that, I always kept asking myself, like, okay, how do I curate my life? How do I write the story of who I am just the way I want? Like, I want to be, what kind of a person do I want to be? What kind of artist do I want to be? Do I want to be someone, who paints landscapes? And, I'm even talking on the surface right now. When, what kind of experiences do you want in your life that you probably would want as an artist as well, in your, translating it in your own creative aspect? So, are you willing to design and create your own life and your own story? Because the every piece of art that you're making, it's like you're adding a chapter to your story that becomes a part of your story. And some days they're extensive chapters, some days these are happy chapters, some days these are, it eventually stands for who you are. So you're essentially writing your own story. So all these things, when you look back and you think who you are, it's all those things coming together that will start defining you. So are you ready to take that responsibility of who you are, creative, like your creative life defining your identity? Are you ready to craft your own story? And yeah, I think it's pretty intense, but it's also exciting the moment I start thinking about, yes, I mean, I could design my life. That excites me. It feels risky, it feels unreal, but wow, when I will be able to do that. I've always been thinking about, I really want to move into in a remote location and have a greenhouse and live with a lot of animals. And I think um, asking myself these questions, that how I want my creative life, and how can I think of my life as a bigger canvas, and how do I want to write that story for me, is an important part of being an artist for me. Okay, here's my last question, and my sixth question I would ask myself, and this, to be honest, is a really really hard one. Okay, hold your breaths. I think before being an artist, I was so self critical. I was so judgmental. I really didn't feel comfortable with who I was. And part of that problem was because, of course, in the environment I felt I was, I just never could fit in. The moment I started to, you know, take my identity of an artist, I started to love myself more. And I knew that I needed that love for myself more because of, of of the path I'd taken. If I, as an artist myself, wouldn't love myself, if I don't give that warmth to myself, to my soul, and if I don't fully love and accept of who I am, I wouldn't really be able to put myself and 100% of who I am in my work, in my art, in my creativity. And I always say this, they say this, that our work, our art is all mostly an extension of who we are. And the more comfortable that you become with yourself, the more loving of who you are, the more you embrace your own identity, uh, the stronger you feel associated with your art, the more connection people can see and feel with you. And I think as an artist, not only that, our paths are bumpy. There's a lot of bump, and there are a lot of twists and turns, and uh, highs and lows, that if we do not love and accept ourselves fully, it can be a really overwhelming and hard experience. So, if I really want to go down this path again, if I was starting out again, I would really ask myself that before taking this plunge, am I ready to love myself? I will have to keep reminding myself that no matter what am I doing, no matter what happens, I will fully love and accept myself, no matter what it is. So, yeah, these were my 6 questions I would ask myself if I were to start today, if I were to start as an artist today. Let me recap this quickly for you. And if you think that this episode may help someone, and if you think you would want to ask, I think these are great questions, even if you want to journal. And I think I have started thinking about, I've always been thinking about these questions, but I think I will be more intentional about them and try to go deeper. And if you do too, let me know if these were helpful. But let me recap this for you. The first question I would ask myself is, am I willing to put unwavering faith in my own self and in my creativity? The second question I would ask myself, am I ready to fall a million times and put myself back together again and again and again? The third question would be, am I ready to dig deeper? Am I ready to feel my emotions fully? Am I ready to ask myself those difficult questions and take those difficult experiences of my life and fully embrace them? The fourth question I would ask myself is, am I ready to let go of others' judgment of myself and my work? The fifth question is, am I ready to write my own story? And the last question, and the final sixth question is, am I ready to love and accept myself fully and wholly? These are the 6 questions I would ask myself, and I would encourage to ask for you to ask yourself. And what would you ask yourself actually if you were to do this today differently? And I would really love to hear your thoughts on this episode. And I hope you find this helpful. Make sure that you share this episode with someone who may need this, who may be at a point where this could be really helpful for them. And I appreciate you joining me in this episode, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Arts to Hearts podcast. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day and keep creating the magic that you are.